Welcome back. We turn now to the mystery of a missing musician known as Chicago Johnny. His bitter divorce was coming to an end when he vanished into thin air. He was a beloved blues musician. But still today, no one can answer the simple question, what happened to John Spira on a cold February Chicago day?
He was an incredible guy. He was engaging, he was smart, he was funny.
Known as Chicago Johnny, his tight-knit family says he loved life.
I think that if you asked all three of us, our best holidays or our best weekends were spent with each other.
John, the eldest of three, had many interests, including a highly successful company called Universal Cable Construction in West Chicago. But his primary passion was music as the lead guitarist of blues band The Rabble-Rousers.
In high school, his friends showed him a couple chords on the guitar, and that was it. He got really good really fast.
Music was John's true love, but his marriage to wife Suzanne was less melodic.
I don't think she ever really fit in, and frankly, I don't think she wanted to.
No one was surprised when after 15 years together, John and Suzanne split up.
He said that she had made his life a living hell for 2 years.
Through it all, John focused his attention on his new life and love, girlfriend Renata. When the divorce dust finally settled, family and friends were relieved.
He had just come from court, and he told me that he thought that he should finally have this divorce, and he was pretty upbeat about that.
And that day, John headed to work in time for a weekly office barbecue at the company he co-owned with partner Dave Steuben.
Him and Dave sometimes had some differences on things, but, you know, that's certainly not unusual in a business.
Around 7 p.m., John calls a friend making plans to meet for dinner.
He never showed up.
And later that evening, John's girlfriend Renata tries calling him. He never picks up.
So Renata, his girlfriend's like frantic, calling. She called the police, and they said, nothing we can do.
Until matters turn alarming the next night when John is a no-show for a gig.
We kept thinking he was going to walk in, plug in, and everything would be fine. But then he didn't.
Whenever an adult has what we would consider a fairly successful life, has a girlfriend, has family, has no obvious reason to disappear on his own, certainly we think right away foul play could be involved here.
St. Charles Police and DuPage County Sheriff's detectives are notified. They bring cadaver dogs to where John was last seen alive, Universal Cable Construction. Partner Dave Steuben allows cops to search the business where there are no telling signs, but it's the location of John's truck that piques detectives' interest.
When the police arrived, the truck was found in the back lot that's gated.
But John usually parked in the front lot. Did someone move his truck after he vanished? Then another problem. A large piece of plastic sheeting is missing that employees used as a doorway to block out cold air.
John can't be found. We're missing plastic. So at that point, 2 and 2 starts to look like 4.
Police also learned John's cell phone never left Universal Cable. A few days later, Stephanie arrives in town to search for her big brother, remembering their last call.
I said, I'll see you in 10 days. And 10 days later, I was flying to Chicago to go search for him.
But Stephanie's search yields no evidence and no John. Then she learns John's business partner and his estranged wife are spending time together.
He's like, I gotta go to Suzanne's and shovel snow. And I was like, you're going to shovel snow at her house? I mean, why?
12 days after John vanishes, Dave Steuben agrees to be questioned.
He had met detectives in our office, and he interviewed with them and answered questions approximately 3 hours.
And Dave proceeds to raise red flags about John.
Dave Steuben reported that he would leave for a week at a time and not have contact with anyone.
We learned that John had a couple other romantic involvement with other women. So certainly in those situations, there's an obvious romantic angle of, a spurned or jealous husband could have been involved.
But when they ask Dave Steuben to take a polygraph exam to help clear his name,
he decided that he would no longer talk to the police at all. And that same story is mirrored for Suzanne Spira. She wouldn't speak to the police anymore.
John's brother Tom claims all roads lead to Dave and Suzanne. He believes they conspired to get John's money.
I don't think she wanted to get the divorce. I mean, why? Look at the house they lived in. You know, look at the income he had. I mean, she had a very, very healthy lifestyle. And she shared this information with Dave, and Dave said, well, we think his half of the business is probably worth X, and you'd get that income, or whatever deal they seem to have made.
Neither Dave or Suzanne were ever arrested or charged in John's disappearance. But after John's younger sister puts up a missing sign across the street from Dave's office at Universal Cable, 2 days later, the building goes up in flames.
The fire was eventually ruled by the Fire Investigative Task Force as an incendiary fire. So someone set this fire at Universal Cable. We just don't know who and we don't know why.
But they do know there's a big insurance payout after the fire.
They ended up settling for, I believe it was approximately $700,000.
Time slowly ticks by with no sign of John Spira when 3 years later his ex-wife Suzanne is found dead, reportedly of natural causes.
We'll never know what Suzanne knew or didn't know.
It's now been over 17 long years since John Spira vanished.
It's considered a missing person case, certainly the suspicious circumstances.
More than ever, John's family believes that he was murdered, and despite no charges, they are convinced his business partner may have some kind of involvement.
Dave Steuben independently, or Dave Steuben with somebody else, did it.
While detectives still do consider Dave a person of interest, he's not the only one. The case remains open.
There's a list of people that are close to John that I would call people of interest. Anyone close to someone who disappears or is murdered are going to be people of interest. So he's one of many of them.
If you have any information that could help find John Spira, contact the DuPage County Sheriff's Office at 630-407-2326 or call our tip line at 888-845-7555.